You may have already killed it, and the worst part is, you did it while doing exactly what you were told. Most people growing fruit trees right now are making at least 3 of these 7 mistakes simultaneously, and not one of them looks like a mistake from the outside. The tree still has leaves. It still leaves out in spring. And then one season it just stops. No fruit, no recovery, and you are standing in your yard wondering what happened to a 5-year investment that was supposed to feed your family for decades without asking much in return. That is what fruit trees dying looks like from the inside. A slow, invisible failure that most growers never trace back to its actual cause. Give me 7 minutes. I'll show you which of these 7 mistakes is sitting in your yard right now. You might already know a couple of these. Some of them show up in basic care guides. But I guarantee you have never heard what I am about to tell you about the mistake coming up at number 2. That one alone is worth staying to the end, and the mistake at number 1, that one happens before your tree ever touches your soil. It changes how you think about every fruit tree purchase you will ever make. Stay until the end. Here is what almost nobody talks about. A single mature apple tree can produce up to 800 pounds of fruit in a peak season. 800 pounds. At current grocery store pricing for organic apples, that is well over $1,000 of produce from one tree that you planted once and one never replanted. Now think about how many of those trees people lose every year to mistakes that take 30 seconds to fix. That number should make you angry. Starting at number 7. Yes, you have probably heard not to overwater your fruit trees. It is in every basic care guide online, but here is the part almost every one of those guides skips entirely, and it is the part that actually kills the tree. Overwatering does not just stress roots, it suffocates them. Fruit tree roots need oxygen as much as they need water, and when the soil stays saturated for days at a time, the roots stop functioning. Not slowly, but fast. The tree above the soil line looks completely fine for weeks, sometimes months, while everything below is quietly rotting away. That is the part nobody shows you. The approved watering protocol for an established fruit tree in most USDA zones is deep, infrequent irrigation. One thorough soak every 7 to 10 days in dry periods, rather than frequent shallow watering. If you are in a heavier clay soil zone, zones 4 through 7 across the Midwest and Northeast, your drainage is already compromised, and a tree sitting in saturated clay is not being loved, it is being drowned. Check your soil moisture 6 inches down before you water. If it is still damp, walk away. Mistake number 6. Planting too shallow or too deep. These are 2 opposite errors, and both of them kill trees. But planting too deep is the one that destroys more fruit trees in American backyards than almost any other single mistake. When the graft union, that slight swollen knob you can see near the base of any nursery-bought fruit tree, gets buried under soil, the rootstock takes over, the tree reverts, it grows vigorously, puts out beautiful leaves, and produces almost nothing. You wait 3 years, then 5. Then you start wondering if you got a bad tree. You did not get a bad tree. You buried the wrong part of it. The graft union must sit 1 to 2 inches above the soil line after planting. Always. Press the soil down around the root ball, check the union, and if it dropped below grade, pull the tree and reset it before you walk away. This is a 30-second check that saves years of waiting. Before number 5, drop your USDA zone in the comments right now. Seriously, tell me where you are growing. The mistakes coming up hit differently depending on your zone, and I want to know what conditions you are actually working with out there. Now back into it, because number 5 is one people are actively proud of, and that is exactly what makes it dangerous. Mistake number 5. Mulch volcanoes. If you have ever seen a fruit tree with a thick cone of wood chips piled up against the trunk, sometimes 8 or 10 inches deep, right at the base, you have seen a mulch volcano, and it is one of the most visually tidy ways to slowly kill a productive tree. Mulch against bark creates a permanently moist environment at the trunk base. That moisture invites fungal rot. It invites rodents who tunnel under the pile and chew the bark through winter, and it suffocates the root flare that needs to breathe. Mulch is genuinely valuable for fruit trees, but it belongs in a ring starting 3 to 4 inches away from the trunk, spread 2 to 3 inches deep across a 2 to 3 foot radius. Pull it back from the bark entirely. If you have a mulch volcano on any tree in your yard right now, that is an active threat you can fix today in under 5 minutes. And if you think that one was quietly doing damage without any obvious signs, wait until you hear number 4, because this mistake is completely invisible, and it makes every other thing you do for your tree completely useless. Mistake number 4, wrong soil pH. and never checking it. Fruit trees are not forgiving of extreme pH, and most American homeowners have never tested the ground their trees are sitting in. The target range for most fruit trees is 6.0 to 6.5. Below that, your tree cannot absorb phosphorus or calcium, no matter how much fertilizer you apply. Above 6.8, iron and manganese become unavailable, and you will see yellowing between the leaf veins, a condition called chlorosis, that looks like a nutrient deficiency but is actually a pH lockout. A basic soil test kit from Lowe's or Home Depot runs under $15. If your pH is low, agricultural lime corrects it. If it is high, sulfur brings it down. This is foundational information the gardening industry almost never leads with, because selling you pH amendments is less profitable than selling you fertilizer that cannot work until the pH problem is solved first. Mistake number 3, pruning at the wrong time of year. This one feels like responsible tree care. You are shaping your tree. You are removing dead wood. You are doing what the books say. The problem is when you do it. Pruning in late summer or early fall, anywhere from August through October in most USDA zones, sends a hormonal signal to the tree that triggers a new tender growth right before the cold arrives. That new growth has no time to harden off. The first frost kills it, and the wound sites you created by pruning become entry points for fungal disease and bacterial canker through the wet, dormant months. The correct window for pruning most fruit trees is late winter, February through early March depending on your zone, when the tree is still dormant, but the hardest cold has passed. You can see the branch structure clearly. The tree is not actively moving resources, and the wounds close fast once spring warmth arrives. One wrong pruning session in September can set a tree back by 2 full growing seasons. Here is what is coming at number 2, and I told you at the start to wait for this one. This is the mistake I guaranteed you had not heard framed this way before, and everything you thought you knew about fruit tree establishment is about to shift. Mistake number 2, rootstock incompatibility with your actual soil and climate, and nobody at the garden center told you this was even a variable. Every nursery-bought fruit tree is 2 trees in one. There is the fruiting variety grafted on top, your Honeycrisp, your Bartlett pear, your Santa Rosa plum. And then there is the rootstock underneath, which is an entirely different tree selected for size control, disease resistance, or precocity. The rootstock determines how deep the roots go, how drought tolerant the tree is, how well it anchors in your specific soil type, and how long it actually lives. Dwarf rootstocks like M9, common in big box store trees, produce fruit fast and keep trees small, but they are shallow-rooted, require permanent staking, and in heavy clay or poorly drained soil they collapse within 5 to 8 years. Semi-dwarf rootstocks like M7 or MM111 are dramatically more resilient, better anchored, and genuinely long-lived in a wider range of American soil conditions. When you walk into Home Depot or Walmart and buy a fruit tree, the tag tells you the variety. It almost never tells you the rootstock. And that rootstock decision, made for you by a commercial nursery optimizing for shelf appeal and fast fruit, may be quietly incompatible with everything about your yard. Ask specifically for MM111 or Geneva Series rootstocks from local nurseries or reputable mail-order suppliers like Stark Bros or Trees of Antiquity. That single question changes the lifespan of your orchard from 5 years to 50. If this channel is giving you the kind of information you actually needed before you planted, the stuff nobody leads with, hit subscribe. There are growers watching this right now who have lost trees they should still have. And the next video in this series is going to make sure that never happens again. What is the single biggest challenge you are facing in your food garden or orchard right now? Drop it in the comments. Your question might become the next cultivar video, because that is exactly how this channel decides what to cover next. Now, number 1, the mistake that starts before your tree ever reaches your yard. Most growers assume the hard work of fruit tree ownership begins at planting. It does not. It begins at selection, and specifically, it begins the moment you choose where to buy. The nursery mistake is not buying the wrong variety. It is buying from a source that has already made every critical decision for you: rootstock, spacing, soil compatibility, climate suitability, based on what moves fastest off a retail shelf, rather than what survives longest in your specific yard. Here is what that looks like in practice. Big box store fruit trees are almost universally grown in soilless potting medium, a light, fast-draining commercial mix designed to keep the tree alive in a container on a concrete floor under fluorescent lighting. When you plant that tree into actual ground soil, especially heavier loam or clay, the root ball does not integrate. Water moves differently through the two mediums. The roots hit the boundary between the commercial mix and your native soil and stall. The tree sits there, technically alive, technically leafing out, not establishing, not extending into your soil, slowly running out of the resources it came with. This is called transplant failure through medium discontinuity, and it accounts for a staggering number of first and second year fruit tree deaths that growers blame on weather, pests, or bad luck. The fix is not complicated. When planting any containerized tree, gently break apart the outer inch of the root ball by hand before it goes in the ground. Rough up the edges. Mix a 50-50 blend of your native soil and compost to backfill. Not straight potting mix, not straight native soil, a bridge blend that lets the roots transition gradually outward. Water in deeply at planting with plain water, no fertilizer, no root stimulator, nothing that forces growth before the roots have anchored. Then leave it alone for 30 days. Source your trees from local nurseries that grow in native soil, or from mail-order specialists, Stark Bros, Trees of Antiquity, or Cummins Nursery, who will tell you exactly what rootstock your tree is on, what soil conditions it was grown in, and what zones it is genuinely suited for. That transparency is worth every dollar of price difference. A $30 big box tree that fails in year 2 costs more than a $60 specialist tree that feeds your family for 40 years. You came here because something told you your fruit trees were not getting what they needed. Now you have the 7 reasons why, and more importantly, you have 7 specific fixes you can act on before the season moves past you. Permanent food independence does not come from planting more trees. It comes from keeping the ones you have alive long enough to work. Stay with this channel. What is coming next will take your permanent food system even further than today. Subscribe so you do not miss it. This video is for general educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for certified horticultural or agricultural guidance. Always consult a qualified professional before making significant changes to your planting strategy or home food infrastructure.